the first time that I actually did security for a show was the Super Evil up there when Moondog Manson's birthday, and he was pile driving.
Oh. That was your first show as security?
I believe so, yeah.
Show? That was a fucking gong show. I think he broke my neck.
Yes,
he broke
that was you in the main event, wasn't it? Was that you?
No, I was in the opener. I was in the qualifier with him when we kicked the shit out of Chad, who was reffing, because he kept counting 2. When he pile drive me and then Gonzo bombed me, and I thought he broke my neck, and then we just stopped, and I told Steve, ring the fucking bell, and then we beat him up. Remember that?
Yeah.
We pile drive the referee. And Chad's one of the nicest guys on earth. I love him to death, but we kicked the shit out of him.
It was terrible, man. I think you stressed the poor kid out for sure. But yeah, that was my first.
I thought Manson broke my fucking neck. And then Manson picking me up because he's ragdolling me because he's one of the strongest motherfuckers on the planet.
Oh, it's terrible, man. Manson used to put on such great hardcore matches back in the day, and it sucks because none of these guys even really remember me. And like I remember walking up to Manson at that show, and he was like, "I don't know, I don't remember who you are." And I'm just like, "Oh God," but he's there, and that was so that was my first match doing security, and my wife just like, "I don't know what the hell you're doing. You're all these rednecks." Her family, she was that kind of. I don't want to trash my ex-wife on video, but she was definitely little not stuck up, but came from a well-to-do family, and here's Davey Deals, doing security for bloody hardcore matches, and
so your wife's like this Okanagan princess, and now she's got to hang out with you, who's hanging out with us white trash motherfuckers.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Basically.
It's hard because, it's just funny because I'm the same way. I guess I'd call myself a bit of a redneck for sure because my brother and I grew up, we grew up scrapping, and it's, like wrestling. I feel that's why I find you guys are such family, is because, I relate to everybody, and it's, so it's been tons of fun for sure.
Awesome. So, add more stuff. Hold on a second. I think actually a lot of my stuff you touched on when you started talking about the testosterone, to be honest. Yeah, you tied it all up because I had other questions to follow with that, but then you nailed them all. That was good stuff. What else? You want to talk about anything else? Talk to me. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know, man. Just maybe a little bit more about the ECCW stuff back in the day. I don't know.
Okay, let's do that. Cool. Let's the question I did have, I forgot to ask you earlier. So you're a teenage kid, you're working security for ECCW with all the riffraff that's coming in, the Juggernauts and the Mansons, the Ladies' Choice, and whoever, probably Billy Two Eagles, drunk as fuck. All the pills, whatever else was going on back then. Who were there guys that you like regularly had like some sort of camaraderie with that every time they came, you're like, it's so-and-so, and they'd maybe chat with you? Or was there any of that?
I was always, and I still am, I've always was more of a shy kid, but I don't know, like, Adam Firestorm, we were always joking about stuff. And another funny part about him is I didn't know that he was Torch for the first couple shows. Like, I was like my brother and him had this thing going on. It almost seemed like, let's see how long we can fool Davey to, who Torch is. So Adam Firestorm, it was really just a funny guy and a fun guy to be around, as much. It was 20 years ago. I don't remember a whole lot, but I remember him being, such a cool guy and just such an athlete, like just the athleticism alone that came out of that era. Like you got Tony Kazina doing his 450 splash, and you got Black Dragon doing his shooting star press. Back then, that was like, holy crap, like that wasn't seen a lot in wrestling back then. But yeah, just who else was like, just the gimmicks and everything, like Michelle Starr and his gimmick, and just ladies' choice, you know, and I'm the man with the muscles and the golden tan, and you know, I'll steal your lady and that sort of thing. And
so then he would actually try to. that wasn't even a gimmick. He would try to do that later.
A lot of guys back in the.
Here's the thing. So you're back then. You're a kid. What was Michelle Starr? Because Michelle Starr was the boss. Yeah. What was he like to deal with back then when you're just a kid volunteer? Was he nice to you? Was he? Because back then too, he was. I remember because I was watching indie wrestling '97 to about 2000, so roughly the same time in Nanaimo, and he could be nice, but he could be a fucking grizzly bear. What was he? How did he treat you as his staff or his volunteer staff?
Yeah, I think I don't remember. Yeah, it was so long ago though. I don't remember him mistreating me at all. Of course, I was this young shy kid, so I just kind of did what I was told and stuff like that. So I don't really remember. I remember there was Dave Republic there too. There was he was around, and there was Stuart Kemp. I think he was the ring announcer. Yep. He was good stuff. And Vern Siebert was a ref a lot of the time, and he was a really nice guy. But yeah, like I say, it was so long ago. I'm trying to remember specific details. I got the memory of a dead moth too. So you know.
You mentioned something earlier that when you were walking around in Peachland, you saw a poster with Black Dragon, and you're like, "Holy shit, this old guy's still wrestling." How does it feel that you've gotten now to wrestle Black Dragon multiple times, and he's even older than that? So what's that like when you're like, "Oh fuck, I watched this guy as a kid, and now I'm working him, and he's legit beating the piss out of me"?
No, I love it, man. Like it's really cool to be able to a guy that I watched in his prime, you know, being able to get in the ring with him and just the lessons that he's taught me too, learning to slow down. You know, I remember the first match that I wrestled, and it was slow down, kid. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm trying to slow down, but there's fans and wrestling is new, and like, you know,
yeah. I love wrestling. I love wrestling Dragon because he'll fuck with you the whole time you're wrestling and just tease you the whole time. Like we were in Merritt. You weren't at the Merritt show. I had just gotten my new chest tattoo, and I told him not to chop me there. First fucking thing he did, pow, 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 and then ran away. It's like, you're a douche, man. But okay.
Problem too is you can't even understand him half the time. He's just this grumbling old man, you know, like, what dragon? You know, like I don't
know. Fucking awesome. So, okay, let's ask. Here's some other questions. We'll throw some stuff. So you watched ECCW back then. Let's break this up because everyone's like, who do you want to wrestle? And then, so of those guys you watched as a kid back then, that era of ECCW, who would you have loved to wrestle out of that group? Like if you could bounce back as Davey Deals, the grown ass man, into the year 2000. Who would you have wanted to wrestle?
That's the problem is I haven't, like, Tony Kazina has come up so many times, but I've only done literally of all the shows that he's done up here. I've only did one little training session with him. So that would be really cool. Disco Fury for sure. I think he'd be there. I think, like him and I, like, one of the guys that actually remembered me the most, I think, was Disco Fury. The first time that I went down to the coast as a wrestler was for Royal City Wrestling, and he showed up. Yeah, and he showed up and he gave me the biggest hug, and he actually remembered who I was, and I'm like, somebody remembers me in this darn business, and so that would, so that would be really cool if I was ever able to kind of mix it up with him. But yeah, like LC, like Ladies' Choice. Yeah, I would literally step in the ring with any of those guys in a heartbeat, you know. That'd be really cool, for sure.
So promotion-wise, you've worked for RCW, Royal City, Pacific Pro, in Abbotsford, Big West and Thrash. Am I missing somebody? Have you worked for All-Star?
No, haven't yet. No, I did the Agri Fair. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I haven't.
And Invasion, right.
Invasion. Invasion. Other than that, yeah, I haven't branched out as much as I nearly should be. Yeah, I should hit up an All-Star show. They've invited me down before, Disco and Michelle, and yeah. So I don't know. I'd probably consider an All-Star show for sure. Just to get down.
I would honestly love for the Downward Dogs to fight Matt Ecstatic and Sing Bassey for their tag titles. Because then both teams should have a really tall guy and then a smaller, super athletic dude.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I'd be up for that.
All-Star Wrestling's new booker hates my guts, so it's never going to happen. So I wish you well. I hope you get booked in All-Star because Velios and Burke are good guys to work for. Now that they're not wrestlers anymore, they're wonderful. Although Nathan Burke, Disco Fury, and I have a good rapport as an ambulance goes by.
Hey. Yeah, that's the thing. That's kind of what I told.
Yeah, this is going by or just stopping here. Hold on. Motherfucker. Oh, Christ. They're like literally a block and a half from the fucking hospital. They got to blare their ambulance, their siren in here. Like, yeah, we can see you, dude. Anyway, where were we at? We talked about them. Yeah, no, I would like to see an All-Star. In all honesty, I think you and Sing Bassey would make for a good battle. But there's very few guys taller than you.
Yeah. I told Disco, I told him I wish I can get down there more. And it's just working. Yeah, I don't have an excuse. I got to stop making excuses, but
to be fair, you have a pretty busy grown-ass man job. That's not like, when I was a bouncer at a shitty dive bar, I could be like, well, I never work Friday, Saturdays. And they're like, all right, fuck off. We don't care. But you're like, I work for the city and they tell me what the fuck to do, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard. Yeah. And it's just it takes a lot of time to travel down there and wrestle a show and come back up. And, and that's kind of where I feel like there's all these guys that are in their 20s that are looking, just looking for those opportunities to be able to wrestle all over the place. And so, I also don't want to take any, a lot of opportunities away from the younger guys to, have their moment, too. Right. So I don't know if that's if I'm cutting myself short, or my brother keeps telling me you should be sending your videos out to Ring of Honor and this and that and the other thing, and I'm kind of just like it's like, dude, you got you got that style, Bret Hart, and your body's looking all right, and you should get yourself out there and stuff. And I'm like, Steve, I'm 35, like the chances, it's all the probabilities, like.
But it's nice to have family that fully support you, maybe to the point of absurdity. But I mean, at least that he's in your corner. Right? When I first started training to be a pro wrestler, when I told my real dad, not the stepdad that when I told my real dad I wanted to train to be a wrestler, he's like, "You're a fucking loser and you'll never succeed in this." That's what he said to me. Right? It's like, what the fuck, man? It was bad enough for the first 10 years of my career that every wrestler was like, "You're a fucking loser and don't do this." But then your own fucking flesh and blood does it too, right? So it's awesome that your brother supports you. Could you imagine being in Ring of Honor? You'd be a foot taller than everybody else. You would be Andre the fucking Giant. You'd have a blast. You don't have to do nothing. You just come out and go, and they'd all go nuts for you. Like 4-on-1 handicap matches with you against like every member of the fucking kingdom because you're taller than all of them by a foot and a half.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, it was funny.
Okay, so when you were a kid, you started watching wrestling 3 years old. Was it WWE?
Yeah.
Nothing else at that point, just WWE? WCW?
No, definitely WWF for sure.
Okay, who was your, as a kid, who was your favorite wrestler?
So as a kid, as a child, like 3 to 5 to, I was always Hulk Hogan, but and then I branched kind of over to as soon as that era was over to Bret Hart. Bret Hart was definitely one of my favorites. And then I kind of hopped, and then as soon as they had that Iron Man match with Shawn Michaels, I kind of started to like him a little bit. Yeah, those were my favorite guys growing up, really. And then, of course, I stopped watching wrestling in 2003. But I was able to see. I went to, I believe it's an In Your House back in like it was probably '99 or something down in Vancouver, and that's when you had
the Rock Bottom one.
Yes,
the Rock
yes.
Bottom one. Yeah.
It was there. It was Buried Alive match with Undertaker and I think it was Stone Cold. But The Rock.
They did so many back then. It's hard to keep track.
The Rock was there. Mankind did a signing at one of the record places down on like Granville or Robson or something. So I was able to see. I thought that was the coolest thing. So yeah, that was really cool as well. Just being able to see those guys wrestle live and. Yeah, I was huge into wrestling back then, man. It was that was like my era for sure. Anywhere from like 1989 up to 1999 really was like when I watched wrestling the most. So yeah, there was some really good wrestling back then for sure.
Absolutely. So when you became a wrestler, do you still watch wrestling now?
Yep. And that's the thing with this COVID stuff's really messed with my routine because my routine would be is I would get on the elliptical machine at the gym and I'd watch my half-hour wrestling, so it would either be Ring of Honor or it would be WWE or mainly I would watch Ring of Honor and WWE really. Ring of Honor, WWE. Yeah, I would watch some New Japan actually. It was really cool watching New Japan too, and then. And there's guys that you've wrestled before, like Clark Connor showing up on there and stuff. It's just, it's really cool.
Awesome.
Just being able to see that. There's a lot of good talent out there. And then now that this COVID stuff has happened, I haven't watched a lot of wrestling to be honest, but I've been keeping up with the dark side of the ring. Has kind of been my thing. I would just finished watching the Dino Bravo one this morning, and I've watched the Chris Benoit, and I've been kind of keeping up on that. It's kind of been.
So you just watched the depressing shit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no doubt. All the depressing stuff in the business. Yeah, for sure.
So here's a question for you: if you could have a wrestling genie, Stu Hart in a lamp, whatever. You could wrestle one guy, one match, one place. What would it be?
Oh, God.
Like, this is full-on fantasy. You're allowed to have whatever guy in any match stipulation you want, anywhere. Where would it be? Who, what, where?
That's a hard one. I always have really liked the high flyers. Like I said, watching Black Dragon, Tony Kozina, and like Chance Beckett back then, just like going crazy. I don't know, man. Like I watched a lot of Lucha Underground too when I was, a couple of years ago. It was on Netflix, and there was a lot of like just being able to watch Pentagon and even like Ricochet, being able to be in a match with like somebody like Ricochet, who has just all that ability, or even just any of the Young Bucks. Like, that's a hard question for sure. Or even just being able to wrestle Bret Hart back in his prime, and have just a good, solid technical match with him, So yeah, it's a tough question for sure. There's just so many people that I would, really want to have a good match with. Chris Benoit, like Chris Benoit has always been my favorite. Him and Eddie as well. So yeah, that's such a huge question.
Fair enough.
For sure.
Fair enough. Mine's easy, but fair enough. I get it. What's that?
Who's yours?
Oh, it'd be Don Morocco easily in a steel cage at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, really?
That's literally Don Morocco in his steel cage match with Jimmy Snuka. A lot of the guys that came up during the Attitude Era that lived in New York, that was the match that inspired Tommy Dreamer and Cactus Jack and Bubba Ray Dudley and all those guys that lived in New York when they saw Snuka, when Snuka did the big splash off the top and hit Morocco. That was the match that inspired all the pro wrestlers.
Really?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Morocco was. People forget Don Morocco's like a forgotten guy.